Hello everyone, and welcome back to this Python programming series. My name is Zach, and today we're going to be learning about conditional statements in Python. So conditionals in Python are signified by if, elif, and else. And whenever you want code to be inside of a conditional statement like if, elif, and else, you need to indent the code inside of it. Let me show you what I mean. I'll start off with a variable x and we'll set it equal to 5. And we will say if x is greater than 3 and we follow it by a colon. Then on the next line, you want to provide a tab or 4 spaces. And then whatever is inside this indented block will be run only if this condition is met. So in this case, we are printing x is greater than 3. So if we go ahead and run this, we can see that it does print out x is greater than 3. If we change this to less than, and we go ahead and run this, it doesn't print out anything because the condition was not met. And so to handle this case for a condition, we can provide an else followed by a colon. And we also go to the next line providing a tab. And we can go ahead and print out else block just to see that we hit this block. So if we go ahead and run this again, we can see that it does print out else block. So it didn't meet this condition, and now it just falls down into here. And so now we can get into elif, which is else if. And in elif, we can provide another condition, whereas else we cannot provide another condition. So here we can say elif x is greater than or equal to 3. And here we can go ahead and print x is greater than or equal to 3. So if we go ahead and run this, it does print out x is greater than or equal to 3. Cool, and we can actually do what's called nesting if statements together. So nesting is just providing another if statement inside our if block. If x is equal to 5, then we can print out here x is 5. So if we go ahead and run this, it prints out x is 5 and x is greater than or equal to 3. Since it completed this block and it's still within this elif x is greater than or equal to 3, it still runs whatever's left in here. So if statements aren't only limited to just variables being less than, equal to, or greater than equal to, or equal to these values. If we want the opposite condition, we can use the not keyword. And whenever we run this, it does print out true since we're saying x is not less than 3. And since x is 5, that is true case. We can also say if true, which just means that this block will always run. And if we say if false, it will not run. We can say if not false, it will still run. And if not true, which is false, it will not run. So if statements work off of truthy, falsy values. Here are some falsy values inside Python, like empty lists, empty tuples, empty dictionaries, empty sets, strings with nothing in them, an empty range, zeros of any kind, and the none keyword. Any of these will provide a false value and will not run an if statement. But if you provide this not in front of these, they will make them run. So if we say not an empty list, it will go ahead and run. And for these, the truthy values of these are going to be lists that have values in them. So any of these data structures that have stuff inside of them will consider true. A range of anything greater than 0 will be true. Any integer or negative integer, float, imaginary number that's not 0 will return a true value. So here's another example of using the conditionals with lists. So here we have x is equal to a list of 1, 2, 3. And then here we're saying if the length of our list is greater than 0, we will go ahead and print true. So if we go ahead and run this, we can see it does print out true. Since the list has 3 elements in it, it is greater than 0. But if we go ahead and change this condition to say if the length of our list is greater than 10, meaning that it has more than 10 elements inside of it, then it will print this true block. So we'll go ahead and run this, and it doesn't print out anything because there's only 3 elements inside of our list. Another example, which is a little bit different than others, is using the none keyword. So here we're saying if none, then we'll go ahead and print true. But in this case, none is a falsy value, so it's not going to run this block at all. So if we go ahead and try and run it, it doesn't print out anything. We can say if not x, which is if not none. We go ahead and run this, and it does print out true. Now there's also the case where you could say x is equal to none, if you want to make that comparison. VS Code doesn't really like that for me. because it's not best practice to do this, but this will work in most cases. And you can see that none is indeed equal to none. But the better way to check if something is none is to use the is keyword. So whenever we go and run this, it does print out true again. This is best practice and better to do this, and supposedly this is a lot faster too than doing the double equals. So another example that we have here is we're checking if an element is inside of our list using the in keyword. This also does work with tuples, sets, and dictionaries. But if we go ahead and say if 2 is in our list of x, we'll go ahead and run this, and it does print out true since it is in there. And if we change this to something like 12, we'll go ahead and run it again, and it doesn't print out anything. So here we have our x is equal to a dictionary of key value pairs of key to value and 1 to 2. And here we're saying if key is in x.values, which is the string key that we have in our keys right here. If it's in values, it will print out true. If not, it won't do anything. So when we go ahead and run this, it doesn't print out anything. That's because this key string is not in the values, which is just value and 2. But if we change this to keys, we'll go ahead and run this, and it does print out true. All right, and that's a basic introduction to conditional statements. Conditional statements are very useful in programming. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more.